What if one birthday night could change a couple's life forever? Toan planned a romantic surprise for Diem, filling the room with candles, flowers, and a heartfelt gift. But the greatest surprise came not from him, but from her, a simple test revealing 2 crimson lines, the promise of new life. Tears of joy, whispered vows, and a future they never imagined unfolded in that moment. This is not just a love story, it's the beginning of a family. Rose Sparkles, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and join us as we relive this unforgettable night. The night of Diem's birthday felt like a dream carefully painted with every shade of tenderness Toan could gather. The dining room, once ordinary, had been transformed into a small sanctuary of love. Candles flickered along the table, their golden glow dancing across the crystal glasses and reflecting off the polished wooden floor, creating an almost magical shimmer that made the whole room feel alive. Soft music played in the background, not loud enough to distract but just enough to weave emotion into the air. A bouquet of white lilies and roses, Diem's favorites, rested at the center of the table, their fragrance filling the room with a gentle sweetness. Toan had thought of every little detail, and as Diem stepped into the room, her eyes widened in wonder, her lips parting in awe. She could hardly believe this was all for her. The past weeks had been filled with Toan's busy schedule and unexpected trips, and though he had promised to be there for her birthday, a part of her had quietly braced for disappointment. Yet here he was, standing in front of her, a warm smile lighting his face, holding a cake decorated with strawberries and tiny candles that spelled out her name. "Happy birthday, my love," he said softly, his voice steady but laced with affection that made her heart skip a beat. Diem felt a rush of warmth spread through her chest. She wasn't someone who cared much about material things, but the thought, the effort, the love he poured into this evening meant everything to her. The candles seemed to blur before her eyes as tears welled up, though she quickly blinked them away, not wanting to spoil the moment. Toan noticed, of course, he always did. He set the cake down and reached for her hand, pressing a gentle kiss on her knuckles. "Don't cry," he teased, though his own voice carried the weight of emotion. "I just wanted to see you smile." When they finally sat down to eat, laughter filled the spaces between bites of the carefully prepared meal. Toan had ordered her favorite dishes from the little restaurant they loved, the one tucked away on a quiet corner of the city. They reminisced about their first dinner there, how awkwardly he had spilled wine on his shirt, and how she had laughed so hard she nearly choked. It felt like time folded back on itself, reminding them of every small step that had led them to this night. Then, as the meal ended, Toan's expression grew a little more serious. He reached beneath the table and brought out a small velvet box, its navy blue fabric catching the light. "I have something for you," he whispered, his eyes never leaving hers. He handed it over with a mixture of pride and nervous anticipation. Diem's fingers trembled slightly as she opened the box, revealing a delicate silver necklace with a small heart-shaped pendant, its surface shimmering faintly under the candlelight. For a moment, Diem was too overwhelmed to speak. She lifted the necklace carefully, admiring its beauty, but what touched her more deeply was the thought behind it, the way Toan always seemed to know what would make her feel cherished. She looked up at him, her eyes shining with gratitude and love. "It's beautiful," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. Toan leaned closer, brushing a strand of hair away from her face. "Not as beautiful as you," he replied, and in that instant, the whole world seemed to fall away. Diem's heart swelled, and with a soft smile, she wrapped her arms around him, holding him tightly. The necklace was precious, but the moment, the man in front of her, and the love they shared, that was the true gift she carried within her heart. As Toan's gift lingered in her hands, its weight more emotional than physical, Diem's heartbeat grew unsteady. She traced her fingers across the smooth pendant, yet her mind was no longer on the necklace. A secret pressed against her lips, a truth she had been carrying silently for days, waiting for the right moment to reveal. And now, surrounded by the soft candlelight, with Toan's gaze so full of devotion, she knew this was the moment. Her lips curved into a tender smile as she leaned closer to him, her breath warm against his ear. "Toan," she whispered, her voice trembling but filled with certainty, "I have a gift for you too." She pulled back just enough to see the curiosity flicker in his eyes, the way his brows lifted slightly, waiting, hopeful. For a brief instant, Diem hesitated, her chest rising and falling as she fought the storm of emotions within. Then, with steady hands, she reached into her purse resting by her chair and drew out a small white stick. The object looked so simple, so ordinary, yet in her palm it carried the weight of a miracle. 2 crimson lines glowed clearly on its surface, undeniable in their meaning. Diem placed it gently on the table between them, her gaze never leaving his. The silence that followed seemed eternal. The soft hum of the background music faded, the flickering candles felt frozen in time, and for a heartbeat, the world was nothing but stillness. Toan stared at the stick, his mind struggling to process what his eyes were seeing. 2 lines. 2 radiant red lines. His lips parted slightly, but no words came. He looked up at Diem, then back at the test, then again at her, as if afraid he might be dreaming. The emotions rushed in waves, confusion, shock, disbelief, until finally, like a dam breaking, joy came flooding through, overwhelming everything else. "Diem, is this?" His voice cracked, unable to form a full sentence. Her eyes shimmered with tears as she nodded slowly, her hand sliding across the table to cover his. "Yes, Toan. We're going to be parents." The words struck him with the force of thunder and the gentleness of a lullaby all at once. His breath caught in his throat as a single tear escaped down his cheek. Then another. And then, like rain finally released after too long in the clouds, they came freely. He pressed a trembling hand to his mouth, trying to hold back the sob that escaped anyway. Without another word, Toan pushed his chair back and moved to her side, dropping to his knees before her. He gathered Diem into his arms, holding her as if she were the most fragile, precious treasure on earth. She let herself melt into his embrace, her own tears spilling onto his shoulder. The air around them was thick with emotion, and yet it felt lighter than ever before. Their breaths mingled, their tears mixed, their hearts beat in unison, and in that embrace lay the promise of a future neither of them had dared to imagine so vividly until now. Toan's voice was muffled against her hair, thick with emotion. "I can't believe it. I'm going to be a father." He pulled back just enough to cup her face in both hands, his thumbs brushing away her tears. "Diem, you've just given me the greatest gift anyone ever could. You've given me a family." Diem smiled through her tears, whispering back, "And you've given me love strong enough to make me believe this dream was possible." The candles flickered, the roses filled the room with their scent, and the night, already unforgettable, became a memory carved forever into their souls. For amidst the laughter, the tears, and the heartbeat of 2 souls intertwined, they realized this birthday was not just a celebration of another year, it was the beginning of an entirely new life. The embrace seemed endless, a cocoon of warmth that shielded them from the rest of the world. For the first time, Toan was not simply celebrating Diem's birthday, he was celebrating the miracle of life that had just been revealed to him. His hands lingered on her back, trembling slightly as if holding on too tightly might wake him from a dream. Diem, nestled against his chest, could feel the rapid beat of his heart. Each thump was strong, wild, and alive, echoing the surge of happiness coursing through both of them. When they finally pulled apart, their faces were still wet with tears, but their smiles were brighter than the candles surrounding them. Toan gently took the test from the table, staring at those 2 crimson lines once more, almost in disbelief. "This little thing," he murmured, his voice shaky but filled with awe, "has just changed our entire world." He looked up at Diem, his eyes shining with a newfound sense of purpose. "Tomorrow, first thing, I'll take you to the hospital. I want to be sure everything is fine. I want to protect you both every step of the way." The sincerity in his tone made Diem's chest tighten. She reached for his hand, intertwining her fingers with his. "I know you will, Toan. I've never doubted you." Her voice was steady now, no longer trembling with nerves but instead glowing with the calm of certainty. "We're in this together." Toan lifted her hand to his lips, pressing a tender kiss against her knuckles. "Together," he repeated, as though carving the promise into eternity. The word lingered between them, heavy with meaning yet light with hope. They sat back at the table, neither of them able to eat anymore, their appetites replaced by joy too overwhelming to ignore. Instead, they talked. They spoke of names, of little futures, of dreams they had once left unspoken because they felt too far away. Toan admitted how often he had imagined what it would be like to have a child running through their home, a small voice calling him daddy. Diem confessed how scared she had been when she first saw the test result, worried about whether the timing was right, whether they were ready. But now, seeing the love radiating from Toan, all those fears dissolved into nothingness. "I don't care about timing," Toan said firmly, his hand resting over her stomach, protective already. "The only thing that matters is that this child is ours. A symbol of us. And I'll make sure both of you have everything you need." His eyes glistened, but this time not with tears of uncertainty, rather with determination, the strength of a man stepping into a new role with open arms. Diem felt her throat tighten again, her emotions threatening to spill over once more. She leaned into him, resting her head against his shoulder. The steady rise and fall of his chest, the warmth radiating from his body, gave her a sense of safety so profound it was almost overwhelming. For years she had dreamed of building a family with him, and now the dream had begun to take shape. As the night deepened, the candles burned lower, their flames smaller but still steadfast, much like the love that had carried Toan and Diem to this moment. The cake remained untouched, the necklace still glimmered in its box, but none of it mattered compared to the gift that life had given them. They held each other, whispering promises about tomorrow, about the child they would welcome, about the life they would build together. And when Toan finally whispered, "Happy birthday, Diem," she knew this was not just the happiest birthday she had ever had, it was the beginning of the happiest chapter of their lives.